Hi everybody, this is Frankie Acosta from AA Dental Design and CEREC On Demand. I want to thank everybody for joining me today. I want to thank Sirona for giving me this great opportunity to talk to you guys a little bit about Inlab 4.0. Last week we had a great webinar with Jay Black introducing us to the 4.0 software. This week's webinar is going to be a little bit more advanced though. If anyone missed the intro, please go to inlab.com and view his video after this session is over, because I have a lot to cover today, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to answer as many questions as you guys have. So let's just get started. One of the things that I really do enjoy about the Inlab 4.0 is that we have the capabilities of doing multiple restorations all at the same time. I mean, you get 30, 31s, 6 unit, cases. You can definitely, propose them. I really like to propose everything all at once. So I picked 3 cases here that we're going to be working on and stuff, and I'm going to just kind of go through them. I'm going to show you what I like to do. I mean, other people do different, do it different ways and stuff. I definitely like to propose everything at once, so that way I can just go back and work on everything. So, I have a case that we're going to be working on, which is a 30 and 31. I have a 6 unit, 6 through 11 single units. It's going to be in biogeneric copy, and we're going to be working on an 8 and 9. We're going to kind of touch up on hit a little bit on the grid, kind of see how we use it and stuff like that. Of course, we don't really need the grid that much when it comes to a biogeneric copy. So with that said, let's get started. We're going to open up 30 and 31. There we go. It's kind of interesting talking to a computer, not knowing what people are doing on the other side. It's kind of crazy. All right, so one of the things that happens to me a lot is you have to make sure that you pick what you're looking at. I mean, it does look pretty similar and stuff like that. So I've gotten to a point where I've picked all my units and stuff and called it this and that and all this other stuff. Next thing I know, when it proposes it gives me a bridge instead of single units. So you always got to make sure that you hit single restoration, crown, and biogeneric individual. So we're gonna click on our numbers here, 31 and 30. One of the things that I like about the software too is that we can actually work on 2 Emaxes over here, a couple Empresses over here, and a couple acrylic CADs on this side over here. As you can see, I really do like Ivoclar. So so with 31 and 30 picked, we can actually go to the selected materials, okay? Because when it's green, it's already been chosen, but because I'm using a different computer, all my MCXLs don't show up here, so it will just light up in green for now. So we're gonna pick our crowns: Ivoclar, Emax, okay. Now, we're not going to go into the scan just yet because, again, everything's already been scanned and stuff like that, and I'm sure a lot of you out there already know how to scan, so we're going to go on to the actual models. Now, one of the things that that with the 3.8, of course, we had our distal over here, our mesial over here, buccal, lingual, and stuff like that, and with the 4.0, we have a horseshoe. So, in some ways, I kind of like pretending like, yeah, the horseshoe is there, of course, especially when I'm working on a 30 and 31. I sort of don't follow the arch that much because I do notice that sometimes your tools are going to be facing that direction and stuff. So if we have this particular case, of course, is not it was a model that we scanned, but it wasn't it's not a real life case. So what I like to do is I kind of like to tilt it a little bit because I like to pretend like this is my distal over here and this is my mesial over here. So I kind of still like to align it up. Now, if I have a case over here, of course I'm going to try to follow, my arch a little bit more. So with that being said, I'll just kind of, tilt it a little bit, make sure that that I can see my preps really nice. Okay, because this is very important. Most of your proposals are going to be as good as where you position. I mean, I understand that some of the preps and stuff that we receive and stuff, we can't find that perfect angle and stuff like that. So hopefully there's no doctors listening right now. But we're going to move forward. So we like our positioning right there, and we're going to click OK. Move next. Now, I've never been one too much. I do a lot of Sarah Connect cases, so I don't really cut my dies, too much. So I just go right for the nitty gritty. You got to make sure that the tooth that you're working on, number 30 and 31, you got to make sure that you click them right. Trust me, I've done it many a time where I'm doing number 30, and all of a sudden I go, oh, okay, you know what, I'm gonna click around this tooth right here and pick my margins around here. Next thing I know, everything's all backwards, and I'm complaining, saying that the software is no good. But we understand that user error is something that happens quite frequently. So number 30, we're going to pick our margins. Oops. As you can see, we can still go back here and do the same thing that we used to do with manual and manual with the intensity images and stuff like that. So we'll go back to auto and just kind of work our way around this. Okay, so we'll just kind of fix the margins a little bit, just to, I'm not going to get too crazy right now, but just to get everything going. Okay, so once we do that, again, I like everything to propose at the same time. So the way that I do it is, when I'm working on number 30, I'm going to go and do my path of insertion, or my define insertion axis. Okay, I'm going to make sure that I don't see much yellow or anything like that. I like it to, like I said, I like it to align, so that way it gives me, really good proposals and stuff. I don't want to have to work too much. To quote, a couple people that I've heard, they say that if you play more than 5 minutes, you're just kind of wasting your time. You should be able to get every crown done in about 5 minutes. So I'll take it all the way to my parameters. Okay. And the reason is because if I move forward, then that crown, it will propose. So we're going to go to number 31, and we're going to do the same exact thing. Double click, all the way around. Okay. Fix the margins a little bit. Do what we do. It's what we do. Okay. Now again, do the same thing. Make sure that everything's lined up. I kind of like this little bullseye and stuff. I mean, most of the time I want to put it right here, but sometimes it just doesn't work because of what you did with the horseshoe. So we definitely want to, like I said, I always like to check where my arrows is pointing down. And we click OK. Move forward. Again, Jay, he hit up on all the parameters and stuff like that, but we got so much to cover here, and I'm just gonna work on whatever parameters I'm gonna use right now. So let's work a little bit on the thickness. All right, and we're gonna do the same thing. And of course, Jay, told you about the configurations where you can save everything. You don't have to do that, one by one. So most of the time, everything that you saved in your parameters here, you're going to be able to just kind of move through this really, really fast. So, but I'm not using my computer right now, so I do apologize about that. If not, it would be next, and let's roll. So let's exit. Go back. We'll just kind of play with our parameters a little bit. Make it about 700. Well, we're going to make them both propose at the same time here. And so what we want to do is we want to try to get the best proposal. We want our contacts to be like, right there. we want, we just don't want to have to play with it too much. And the horseshoe and the way you choose your axis, plays a huge part in that. I mean, I've really tried to get some really crazy proposals a lot of times just by moving everything around and stuff. So, but there you go. So, I mean, it's, I think I might have been able to get it a little bit better, but, at this point, this will definitely work. So one of the things that I like to do is I like the way we can, move back and forth within the two teeth that we're working on at this point. Oh, another thing is when you propose them at the same time, if you've noticed down here, restoration parameters, it still says OK and cancel and stuff like that. Well, that just means that it hasn't accepted on number 31. You have to make sure that you choose that yes, those are the parameters that you want. So, but what I like is that all the tools that we can work on. Let's say if we're working on our move tool, I right click. I'll click on the positioning tool. Okay, and if I want to, I can definitely move things around really fast. But I can also go back and forth on whatever teeth I want to work on. Okay, and of course you can always undo. We kind of like that, just in case things kind of go a little crazy. Okay. Another thing that I like to do when I have multiple units, I really like the bagel too, so it makes things easier. I don't really use this too much. I kind of just right click and move forward. So at this point, our crowns are basically done. I mean, we just have to fine tune it. I like to use my model box, on all my cases because I like to be able to see the inside and see my contacts and stuff. I wish we were able to see the contacts here, but we can't. So just moving forward, we right click, we choose the tools that we need. Okay, so we kind of right click, make it a little bit smaller, just kind of make it light blue because I get a lot of my CEREC doctors, they tell me I want speckles of green and speckles of yellow on my contacts, and I like it to be a little shade of blue. So like I said, it's really cool that you can stay on the same tool and just kind of remove any of the high spots. Okay, so if I wanted to work on the contacts, there's a lot of different ways that we can do this. Okay, if we want to make our contacts bigger, we go to our shape tool here. We have the circular and we have the anatomical. I don't really use anatomical that much. I like the circular. I like to be able to control what I'm moving and stuff like that. So right click, I can grab a large area of the tooth and move it with my two directional. Okay, kind of bring it out a little bit, just like that. If I want to make my contacts really broad. Okay. Another thing I like to do is, let's say if this area right here was a little high. Okay. I'll go to my my display objects and show the upper, because I'm in the box, because now we don't have to sit there and say Control B and try to find all these secret buttons that we have to press and stuff like that. So everything's here. We don't need to just figure things out. So we'll just kind of remove, and of course it's only going to remove that one area. Okay. So, and of course, if we wanted to work on a cusp and bring it up, I can actually see it. kind of raise it up a little bit. Okay, and again, you can see if it's the contact's a little high. Same thing on this side. Just make my occlusion really nice right there. Let's remove the upper jaw. Okay. And again, just kind of fine tune it. Don't play with it too much. Because then I mean, we're lab guys, so what we like to do is we'll add our own anatomy and stuff. Remove a little bit of the red. Like I said, all depends on how you like it and how it mills out for you. Everybody has their own speckles. So at this point, we're basically done. I mean, we can add our own flavors to it, but once we're done, we could, if you have multiple units multiple MCXLs, you can definitely mill out your cases. Send one to one direction by choosing change mill devices. We can change the block sizes. I always use C14s. I mean, that's I never buy anything else besides this, and of course the B40s. So at this point, we're just ready to mill. Okay, and of course I know this was hit on last week, but this is a really cool thing that they added, where we can choose where we want our sprue to be. So, okay. Now, this part right here, of course, we will add a little bit right here, because that's a thin area. Okay. We do the same thing with the. I'm sorry. So we move forward. Okay. I mean, that's how easy it is to basically do two crowns, number 30 and 31. Let's move on and go to our next case here. So now we're going to work on a number 8 and 9. We'll open it up. Now this case right here was sent also, Sarah Connect and stuff, and what's kind of cool is that when the margins are already picked, if you move forward to the models, you'll see that the margins are already picked and stuff. But let's say if you got a case that a doctor sent you and you want to change it to a biogeneric copy or whatever other thing that you want to use, a framework and stuff like that, those margins will always stay there. But you got to make sure that you click on Edit Restoration first. Okay, then you can change what you want. So if we want to change this to a bio copy, we have to click on Edit Restoration, double click on it, turns into a biogeneric copy, okay? And then once we accept it, you're going to notice that on the model, your margins are still there. Because if you were to delete it, okay, let's say delete restoration and then move forward, well, the next thing you know, your margin is going to be gone. So, but in this particular case, let's we're going to do some bio individual. We're going to click on that. Okay. Go to our model. Okay. Let me show you something real quick, which is, I think it's really cool. You see those little divots right there? We want to remove those by going to our edit model. This is a function that I really do enjoy using. We get the opportunity here. Of course, it will give us a warning. I like to use the replace tool. And the reason why is because we would normally maybe even add a little bit of wax there. So now we have the ability to go around that area. Oops. Okay. And if you don't do that properly, what happens sometimes, it will give you an error. It's like if we have our little virtual wax there. I think that's pretty cool. I know all of you out there are going, ooh, that was cool. So, I just wanted to show you that. Now, in this particular case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do one crown at a time. Like I said, most of the time I like to propose at the same time, but you know, like I said, there's different ways to handle different cases and stuff like that. So at this point, we're gonna make one propose at a time, and I'm gonna show you a little bit about the grid and stuff like that. So I'm gonna make sure that our insertion axis is nice. So hopefully we'll get a really good proposal on the first one. Again, we just want to go through this really quick. Let's just do that 600. I know a lot of you are thinking, oh my god, parameters. But I want to just kind of move forward here and propose this one. Okay. Of course, it's a little short. Okay. And what's kind of cool about this particular case is that I was sent what the patient had before. Okay. So I have a little guideline and stuff. I mean, if I wanted to do a biocopy, I could, but I think what I want to do is just kind of go through and show a little bit about, you know, the grid, and also we want to talk about, you know, the link options, but we won't do that until the other tooth number 9 is proposed. So let's say if I wanted to lengthen this a little bit, let's go to the, let's go to the grid, okay, which is a really cool feature that they've added. So if we wanted to lengthen one of the teeth here, you know, we would find our midline, okay, even though on this particular case the lower teeth are, the midline is a little off and stuff, so we're not gonna use that too much. Now, I really like the shape tool. I like the move tool, but you know, again, the shape tool to me gets the job done a little bit faster. So, you know, I want to be able to make it a little longer here. Okay. Now, change it up. Let's see if I just wanted to lengthen that area a little bit. Have a little bit more control. Okay, and check our contacts here. You know, just kind of bring it out a little bit. Close up those embrasures. Okay. Let's put it back into position. It's just a guide. I mean, it helps you out a lot. I mean, before we would have to kind of guess, okay, well, this one fits, you know, this one's okay, this one's not that good. So We'll position it back. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. The grid will disappear. Hopefully we'll get a good proposal on this one. Again, positioning. There was a key. Because of time restraints, usually I like to trim all my stuff. Sorry, somebody walked in. That's what happens when you do things live. It wasn't me who dropped anything. So we, of course, we see yellow if there's going to be any kind of undercuts or anything like that. But I think that's a pretty good position right there. I think that person has left the building, dropping things next to me. So this is kind of fun. You're talking to a computer. You don't really know, who's out there and stuff like that. It's pretty fun to do this, actually. I should have changed the spacer and stuff, but like I said, we just want to get through this and show all the little cool things that the 4.0 has. So hopefully it gives us a really good proposal here, so we don't have to play with it that much, but it's a little off. So we'll turn it around. Go back to our grid here. All right. So again, I want to lengthen it a little bit. Okay. Let's position that a little bit better here. All right. Let's close up the braziers a little bit. Let's see that this is going to come out a little bit here on this section over here. Okay. So as you can see, we can use the grid and just kind of, position things where we want them, as close as we want them. Of course, if we're doing a, if you're capable of milling models and stuff, we can always make our adjustments and stuff if we don't get it that perfect. So, but you definitely have the ability to position things where you want them. Like I said, I use the move tool a little bit here and there, depending. And we can remove those contacts from that occlusion. So we'll remove the grid right now. Okay. Now, we're looking pretty good. So of course, you just want to fine tune it. Like I said, what's really cool is when you're on a tool, you can just kind of go back and forth on what you want to do. Okay. Make it a little bit broader. Well, like I said, what's kind of cool about this whole thing about BioCop, you can kind of see the difference you know, when a doctor sends you and says, okay, well, this is what the patient, you know, had before and stuff like that. And let's say if the doctor says, well, you know, I want it to be a little bit longer, a little bit wider, you know, because the patient doesn't like this and that. So you definitely have a reference when it comes to your biocopy here, and you can make it a little bit clearer, so you can, you know, work around in certain areas and stuff like that. You can bring it out, you know, make them thicker, do whatever it is that you want to do. So that's one of the things about the software that I really do enjoy. Now let's go to, let's get rid of our biocopy here, and let's talk about biovariation. Okay. Well, first of all, let's talk about the group and and keep them symmetrical. I mean, yeah, symmetrical. One of the things I like about this is I don't use it that often. I only use it in certain cases and stuff like that. If I definitely want to, you know, let's say move something when I've been sitting here kind of working, trying to get everything, you know, aligned and stuff like that. You know, I can definitely move them both at the same time, make them longer. Okay. Make them shorter, you know, move them around, do whatever it is I want to do with them. Okay, as you can see, they both do the same thing. So I definitely like that. If we pick symmetrical, we have more options now. So we can use the dimension tool. We can right click on one, make it a little bit wider or thicker. You see how they both move exactly the same. If you want to make them thicker, you know, thinner, stuff like that. Now, biovariation. I use it. I use this tool a lot sometimes. You know, depending if I want to, you know, change, you know, the way it looks a little bit, add some, you know, flavor. Let's say if we, and then of course you start knowing the numbers and where you want them and stuff. You got number 78. Okay, so as you can see, they both changed. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Look at that. Okay, so I'm not really sure what time we're at right now, because of course this room does not have a clock. So let me just zip through this really quick, because we definitely want to get to the big cases, or the big case. So like I said, as you can see, whatever I'm doing on one side, it actually does the same thing on the other side. Okay. Yeah. And like I said, you can close your erasures there. You can do whatever it is that you want to do. So and like I said, we move forward, and our crowns are basically done. I mean, of course, we would add whatever we want to do to it. We wouldn't actually, you know, turn them in like that, because we want to close everything up. So now let's move on to the big case. Like I said, I'm not really sure on the time. Somebody just brought me a clock here, but I'm not even sure what time I actually started. So let's move on to the big biocopy case that I'm working on here. Okay. Now, this case was pretty cool too, because this was also a case sent to me by a doctor, and you know, I say a lot to a lot of different people, you know, doctors and laboratories, we speak the same language. And so this was a case actually that was sent to us, and the doctor wanted us to actually just do the bridge work on it. Okay, so he actually did in his office these 5, and we did the bridge. But I kind of really like his preps and stuff like that, so I decided that I would use the 6 units here to do a biocopy as an example. So I know that we got to get this case kind of rolling. I wish our webinar was a little bit longer, but so I'm just gonna go through it and make it propose and do our little biocopy here. So click OK. Biocopy it as it's calculating and stuff. It's kind of like 3.8, so we have to make sure that the areas that we want to copy are marked. So as soon as it calculates, we can alter it if we'd like to. You can go back and just change it up. And let's move forward. Normally, I like to set the spacer, especially if they're Emacs and stuff. I usually set it at 120. A lot of times, I don't really know if the doctor is going to bond it, or depending on how he wants. But unless he tells me differently, I usually keep it at 110. And of course, now 110 is 110. I know Jay hit up on that last week, so. One thing that I like about the software too is you see how you have all these divots. This case was sent to me, after when the doctor scanned it, so I'm not really sure where these are coming from. But if I have enough time, I'll definitely go back and I'll show you how we can actually alter our biocopies, which is a really cool feature. So let's continue here. There's just so much to the software and so little time to get through everything. Let's work on number 8. Change it up a bit. Biocopy. It took me forever to instead of using the word correlation, I would have to say biocopy. So, let's change it up. Work on number 9. I know this part is a little bit kind of tedious, but I know you're all sitting there going, come on, I want to see this thing work out. Alright, we have 10 and 11 left, and then we'll make this all propose at the same time. There's so many little tricks and stuff that I would love to hit on, but we can't. Just gonna almost clicked OK. If I would have clicked OK, all of those would have just proposed and not the last two. Alright. And like those little marks are definitely going to show up in our bio copy. So hopefully we can hit on that real quick. Let's change it up. Let's work on 11. That will be our final. You can spend a whole hour on everything that we can do when it comes to a case this big and stuff. I mean, if we were doing the whole entire arch, or an upper and a lower. So maybe if I get the opportunity to do another one of these, maybe I'll just spend some time on a full arch upper and full arch lower. But all right. So now that we got everything going, we hit on calculate restoration. As you can see, actually do a little dance. Sometimes they all show up, sometimes they don't. But it's definitely calculating it. So this is the part where we kind of think, what's going on? It's right there. That one showed up right there. Like I said, you can actually fix that. So hopefully we can hit on that real quick. All right, almost done. Very cool. There we go. And as you can see, it actually copied it perfectly. So now what we can do is, like I said, we can, I usually like after it does a biocopy and stuff, I usually like just going, one by one and smoothing it out. So another thing I like to do is work on one by one and just smooth everything out. And then I'll fix certain areas and stuff, and little thin areas according to my parameters and stuff. But keep moving tooth to tooth, but like I said, I don't need to change my tools as I'm smoothing out. So And then of course I can add and do different things to it. Fix all these areas, make my contacts, use my grid and stuff like that. But I want to show you guys something really quick. Now that our case is basically done, more or less. You always got to make sure that, of course, all your restorations say okay at the end, so you accept your parameters and stuff like that. And like I said, you can work on each individual one with all the different tools that are given to us with a 4.0. So let me show you guys something really quick that I think is pretty important. Let me see if I can sneak this in. So you remember all those little divots and stuff? What's cool is that they gave us the option now. So if we want to fix, of course, if I go back and I start altering certain things, especially on the model or the biocopy, you're going to lose all the work that you did. But we're going to use our replace tool here, and we're going to fix all those little areas. See? So now when it proposes, you would not see all these lines and all these things. You can actually smooth out the little bumps and stuff like that if you want. You can work on two areas at the same time. So we'll fix that one, then we'll go back and fix the other one. I can fix this area here, smooth this area. So click on it, apply. And like I said, you can use your smooth tool. You can actually smooth this area out right here. Oops. Okay, so make it a little bit smaller. Smooth it out, make that go. So like I said, whatever helps you, make your proposal a little bit better. That way you don't have to, fix it and start altering things and stuff. You can remove all these lines so that your contacts come out a little bit better and stuff like that. So, but basically that's it for what I'm going to be presenting today. I wish I had more time. I would have gone a little bit slower, but right now I know we have a bunch of questions that we need to answer, so I'll definitely answer these questions. So I want to thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy schedules and joining us today. So let me see if I can read some of these and answer them for you.